Let's talk about one of modern medicine's most frustrating puzzles, myalgic encephalomyelitis, or as it's more commonly known, chronic fatigue syndrome. We're talking about a debilitating, life-altering illness with no clear cause and no real treatment. But what if a huge clue has been hiding in plain sight this whole time, inside a tiny gland in our neck? Okay, let's dive right in.
But before we even get into the science, we have to start here, with the human cost. You see, for the millions of people living with ME/CFS, it's not just a collection of symptoms. It's a daily, grinding battle for energy, for mental clarity, and so often it's a battle just to be believed, to get validation that their suffering is real, that it's physical, and that it's not just in their head.
And the suffering is absolutely profound. We're not just talking about being tired. This is the disabling, crushing fatigue that sleep doesn't touch. On top of that, you have severe brain fog, chronic pain, and this hallmark symptom where any tiny bit of exertion, physical or even mental, can trigger a devastating crash that lasts for days or weeks.
So that leads to the huge question that has just stumped researchers for decades. If this is so clearly a physical illness, where's the proof? Where is the biological evidence? What exactly is going wrong on a cellular level?
Well, for a lot of scientists trying to crack this case, the investigation always begins with a very obvious suspect, a master regulator of the body's entire energy system.
And that suspect is the thyroid. You're looking at it right here. The small, butterfly-shaped gland is basically the engine room for your entire body. It pumps out hormones that every single one of your cells needs to function, controlling everything from your heart rate to your body temperature to how fast you burn energy.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the symptom overlap. When your thyroid is underactive, a condition called hypothyroidism, your whole body basically slows to a crawl. The fatigue, the muscle pain, the brain fog, it is an almost perfect mirror image of ME/CFS. It's so similar, in fact, that thyroid disease has to be ruled out before a doctor can even consider an ME/CFS diagnosis.
And your body has this brilliant system to manage all this. It's kind of like a thermostat. There's a gland in your brain, the pituitary, that's always monitoring your hormone levels. If they dip too low, it sends out a signal, thyroid-stimulating hormone, or TSH, basically telling the thyroid, hey, we need more power. And if levels get too high, it quiets down. It's a perfect little feedback loop.
But here's the twist. This is where the mystery just got deeper and deeper for years. Because when doctors ran tests on ME/CFS patients, that thermostat system, it looked like it was working perfectly fine, creating this incredibly frustrating dead end.
You see, the first and often the only thing doctors test is TSH. In classic hypothyroidism, the thyroid gland itself is failing, so the brain has to shout louder and louder by pumping out tons of TSH to try and get a response. That high TSH level is the classic red flag.
And yet, for the vast majority of ME/CFS patients, their TSH levels fall right in the middle of that standard lab range. And this right here is part of the problem. That normal range is huge. A lot of doctors in functional medicine will tell you the optimal range is actually much, much smaller, and that patients can feel awful even when their labs are technically normal.
This quote from a major study just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the paradox. Patients have all the symptoms of an underactive thyroid, but they don't have the high TSH that's supposed to go with it. So for decades, the trail went cold. The obvious suspect had a rock-solid alibi. But what if everyone was looking at the wrong clue? Some incredible new research decided to look past that simple TSH test, and what they found? Well, it tells a much, much different story. It's a total breakthrough. Okay, so this part is absolutely crucial. The main hormone the thyroid makes, called T4, is actually mostly inactive. It's like a blank check. Your body has to convert it. It has two choices. Path A is to turn it into T3, which is the active stuff, the gas pedal that revs up your cells. Path B is to turn it into something called reverse T3, which is the brake. It actually blocks the receptor and tells your body to conserve energy. Gas pedal or brake? Your body makes that choice every single second.
And boom, this is what the researchers found when they looked closer. In ME/CFS patients, yeah, the TSH was normal, just like in healthy people, but they had way lower levels of the active gas pedal T3 and way higher levels of the inactive brake hormone RT3. The body wasn't failing, it was actively, deliberately choosing to slam on the brakes.
This whole phenomenon actually has a name.
It's called low T3 syndrome, and it's seen as an adaptive state, kind of like a hibernation response. The body, usually in response to some kind of severe stress or chronic illness, forces itself into a state of extreme energy conservation. It's a survival mechanism that in ME/CFS seems to have gotten stuck in the on position.
This discovery isn't just about the thyroid, though. It's actually part of a massive shift in how science is beginning to understand a whole family of these misunderstood chronic illnesses.
You see, for years and years, conditions that didn't have a clear, simple lab marker were often dismissed with these very unhelpful psychological labels like medically unexplained symptoms. But now you have powerful voices in the scientific community, like Dr. Eunice here, arguing that these terms are totally outdated and we need to just abandon them.
And in their place, a new model is emerging, and it's called central sensitivity syndromes. This completely reframes these conditions, not as psychological problems, but as physiological disorders, where the central nervous system itself becomes wound up, stuck in a state of high alert and hypersensitive. It's a whole new paradigm that's based on biology, not on belief.
And MES-CFS isn't alone in this new category. It's part of an entire family of conditions you've probably heard of, like fibromyalgia and irritable bowel syndrome, which very often overlap with each other. This suggests they might all share common underlying roots in a dysregulated nervous system and, as we're now seeing, a seriously disrupted metabolism.
So, okay, why does all of this matter? This isn't just about scientific curiosity. This shift in understanding has profound, real-world implications for millions and millions of patients.
So let's boil it all down. What's the bottom line here? First, there's a measurable biological reason for the crushing fatigue in ME/CFS. Second, this low T3 syndrome shows us a body that is desperately trying to conserve energy at the cellular level. This is huge because it finally helps move the conversation away from those outdated, dismissive labels and toward real evidence-based models. And most importantly, it provides validation for patients who have been told for years it was all in their head, and it opens up exciting new doors for research and hopefully for real treatments. And that leaves us with the critical question for the future. As this biological evidence keeps piling up, finally moving these conditions out of the shadows of doubt and into the light of science, will the medical establishment finally change its approach to diagnosing and, more importantly, treating the millions of people who have been waiting so long for real answers?